It was pretty good. Last meeting, because I talked to her about the hospital parking lot.
There you go.
Later. Okay. That's cute for us for the time.
Sounds good.
Get ready to respond in like 5
And I'm not district.
Okay.
So you can shoot.
Yeah.
It's fun. Another word.
My pleasure.
Well, you're next December.
Well, good morning. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the new year and the first board meeting of the new year. If you everybody rise, trustee Days go lead the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Ms. Henning, we do have a quorum. If everybody would look at their agenda, if there's any additions or deletions for this, we'll modify that to the January 5th is yours. No, maybe it doesn't. And we're going to modify it because it should say January 15th, correct? Mine says January 20th.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
15th, we'll quickly fix that, at least on my paper copy. And I would request a motion to add item G under new business, executive session pursuant to state statute 16-4-405-9 to consider or receive information classified as confidential by law and to add item H under new business, the spending authority approval for I-Hall Phase 2 repair up to $447,000. Excellent.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded, moved by trustee Anderson, seconded by trustee Wasserberger, that item G under new business, executive session pursuant to statute 16-4-405-9 to consider or receive information classified as confidential by law and to add item H under new business, spending authority approval for I-Hall Phase 2 repair up to $447,000. Any questions on that? Okay, hearing none. Then I would, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right. Moving on to the revised agenda, I request a motion to approve. So moved. Excellent. So it has been moved by trustee Palmer and seconded by trustee Williams to approve the agenda as revised for the regular Gillette Community College Board of Trustees meeting held today on January 15th, 2025. Discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right. Moving on to the consent agenda. Any thoughts or questions, or I would entertain a motion on that?
We'll try the consent agenda.
Second that.
Go day, first official second. So it's been moved by trustee Anderson and seconded by trustee Day to approve the consent agenda for the regular Gillette Community College Board of Trustees meeting held today, January 15th. Questions? Discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Excellent. Motion carries. All right. For the good of the district. Good news from the trustees.
If I may, I would just like to celebrate and share the fact that my husband had successful thoracic surgery last week. Obviously, he's recovering really well. He's officially classified back as no evidence of disease, so we're praising God for that. Guy that makes cancer look ridiculous.
He's
We'll
doing,
take it.
looks pretty amazing.
Do we have a speech?
No.
Well, no, I always wanted to be Ned, so I'm Ned again. No evidence of disease.
Excellent. Any other good news?
I have been having a wonderful time at Area 59, taking the creative aging woodworking class. Running table saws and planers and sanders and doing computer stuff, and at some point I'll have a lovely cutting board.
Excellent.
And she even got her picture in the paper.
Yeah.
Well done.
If you look at it.
Any other good news? I have some good news, but bad news. My daughter tore her ACL, but she had successful surgery, so we're on the mend. Unfortunately, she'll be out for the season, but hopefully back by summer, ready to go. So. Anybody else? Okay, moving on. Organizational reports. President Oberleiter.
Jim McGrath, trustees, happy new year. We're pleased to welcome you to the first meeting of 2025. So we can continue the awesome work that this board has been doing, and certainly our faculty and staff. We had a wonderful welcome back celebration on Monday, where we did a lot of updating, but we did a lot of celebrating as well. And so we recognized our years of service recipients. And so we have employees who've received their 5 years of service: Jan Folland, who's at Area 59, Maria Garcia Macias, who's in facilities, employee Jolene Torres, who you're very familiar with, who helps us set this room up and many of our facilities and facilities. Sherry Topping, nursing, Amanda Malurek, nursing, and Brian Yeager, who is our veteran services coordinator, 5 years of service. 10 years of service was Ashley Corkins, who is our arts and sciences academic advisor. Heidi Gross with the Gillette College Foundation, and Jim Stratton, our MShaw, director of MShaw. And then 15 years of service, we had Ann Neary as well. And then next month, we'll bring our President's Circle of Excellence Award recipients for our faculty member of the year, who Mr. Tom Malone was selected. Administrative employee of the year was Ms. Brandy Martin, and then classified employee of the year was Galen Boyle. And we'll bring them next month so you can recognize them and congratulate them on their achievements. So we're off to a great start. Faculty are certainly engaged in preparing for students to return on Tuesday. Some professional development going on this week across the college. So a lot of excellent work happening. College is closed on Monday for Martin Luther King Day. The faculty, our students return on Tuesday. So as you know, we're into the legislative session now. You'll start getting those updates. As a reminder, we have 2 legislative updates that happen on Friday, one with the Wyoming Community College Commission and then one with WACT. Certainly Trustee Smith and Trustee Day, but you all are invited to those. And then I will certainly send you your daily summary from Aaron as we continue forward. So onward we go. I go next week, so I'll be down there for that. I do have the WACT legislative talking points if you would like those. The Wyoming Community College Commission is not, or the colleges really aren't making an ask this year. The one ask really that we are focusing in on is WIP funding, that 3rd year of WIP funding to continue some sustainability. Other than that, we're navigating the session, and we'll continue to advocate for the community colleges and all the good work that happens around our state. We certainly are a workforce driver. Just a quick accreditation update. We are waiting for our letter of eligibility. It's like a baby pool. You know, we're knee deep into the baby pool for the arrival of my first granddaughter. Roger Humphrey believes that we'll get our letter of eligibility next Friday. I think it'll be this week on Friday. So anytime now, we should be receiving that letter of eligibility. So we're excited to have that documentation. As soon as we get that, I will let you know. And as soon as we get that, we'll begin preparing the letter of intent to pursue candidacy. Kickstart our U.S. Department of Education application. So it's an important document. We're looking forward to receiving that. Trustee Wasserberger and I had a great presentation yesterday for the Chamber Luncheon Series. We spoke about our headcount, again, reminding you that 86% of our students last year, 2023-24, 86% came from Campbell County, 92%, almost 93% were Wyoming residents. And then just over 7% come from other locations. So outside of the border states, out of state, non-WUI, and then international students. And then, of course, we can't forget our industrial safety side of the house, our MSHA training, Area 59, and adult education students. That's nearly 6,000 students head count. So it's an important arm of our institution. We talked about accreditation. We talked about the NZ building and really highlighted our deficit in square footage, specifically in classrooms and laboratories. We talked a little bit about major maintenance as compared to the other colleges, showed them the statistics of what the other colleges receive based on the net assignable square footage. Because as you know, not all spaces in the colleges get major maintenance. Shared that with them, and the comparisons are pretty stark. We get none of that pie at this point. And then certainly showed them again the deficit in space as compared to the other colleges, community colleges in the state. So I thought that conversation was very eye-opening. We also showed them the breakdown of our state funding. So where we're funded basically by our mills versus what the other colleges get from state appropriations. So again, those pie charts, which are just such a helpful tool for people to get a visual on. We talked about the state appropriations that we don't get, that $10 million that we leave on the table by not assessing for once we're accredited. Had some good conversations and questions about, have we had conversations with our state delegation? And of course we've started those conversations. Likely we'll pick that back up again after this session. And then we talked about economic impact, the new study, which we'll talk about a little bit later in our board meeting today. Trustee Wasserberg talked about the fact that we really want people to be involved here at Gillette College in ways in which they can do that. Trustee Wasserberg, is there anything else you'd like to add to that discussion?
Not really, Dr. Oberlander. I thought it was a very successful presentation and very engaging just to watch the audience's nonverbal responses. There was a lot of curiosity, a lot of pondering, I felt like. I think some of the key points is, especially when it comes to the 4 mil, it's not the message that we're advocating that our county should assess a 4 mil. It's the inequality amongst the junior colleges, and the fact, Dr. Oberlander made a very nice point that, you know, it's been now 52 years, I believe, since a junior college has come into the state of Wyoming. So that statute is also that age. And obviously, how many things have changed and the ongoing futuristic changes we have with junior college education and what we need to do for our communities, that we really need to look at that statute. Again, it's not advocating that we get out there and hammer the 4 mills. It's really other ways to cut it, you know, that we can make that equitable amongst the state without hurting any of our other junior colleagues, but making it equitable ones. So I thought that was just really good discussions.
Yeah, good questions came from the audience too. So always nice to be able to update our community and our constituents. The only other thing I would leave you with, we do have a lot on the agenda today, is that as we go through this spring semester, of course, the cabinet has focus areas. We updated the campus, and I'll be happy to provide a further update in our next meeting. But one of the pieces that we continue to work on and continue to want to ensure we have in place is succession planning. And so we are meeting and beginning those discussions on how do we take our phenomenal leaders that we have on campus and prepare them for that next level position. So the vice presidents and our executive director of HR and myself are beginning that work. What is it the pathway if we have a director or an entry-level professional who wants to work their way up to a dean or a vice president or up into a presidency? What are the competencies they will need? What is the leadership training they will need? What type of professional development? As well as with our faculty. When we have new faculty come in, what is it that they need to continue their journey with their competencies and their leadership training as well? So that work is ongoing. It's something that this board has talked about, something this board will want to focus on for future trustees as well. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Steve Palmer, do you need me to have them come pull shades?
Oh, no, I'll put my sunglasses on here.
I can have them come in and pull shades, more shades down.
Okay. In relationship to other colleges, in relationship to our mill and what we don't get from the state, that $10 million. Where are the other junior colleges with their feeling towards us? Do we have their support when we go to legislatures next week? Are they gonna go to bat for us in any way? The other JC said, hey, this is not fair. You know, we're getting this, Gillette College is not getting any of this. How do they feel?
Chair McGrath?
Yeah.
Trustee Williams, we have not initiated that conversation with our partners. So we've had a very high level of conversation with our state delegation. We won't begin any further discussion with our state delegation until after the session is over. I don't think our partners will be too concerned because it's not going to harm them. There's no harm coming to them. So I would suspect they'll be supportive. We'll just have to wait and see as the conversations unfold, but certainly Erin Taylor was at Eggs and Issues in our conversation with our state delegation afterwards. So I suspect that she heard what we said, and I suspect I got the sense that she didn't show any concerns during that meeting. So
So it won't be Trustee Williams, it won't be a topic for this legislative session. We'll hope to work on it for, 26. Trustee Smith.
Going back, on behalf of Trustee Anderson and myself, I want to commend you on yesterday's presentation. I thought it was excellent. It brought it right down to the ground level, kind of got out of the weeds, where we're going in the direction we want to be. So thank you. It was very nice.
our pleasure.
I don't mean to speak for Terry.
That was perfect.
One question that I would have for you, President Olber, on the WIP funding, do we feel like the state, from what you're understanding from Aaron, is supportive for that third phase or whatever?
Yeah, Chair McGrath, just not quite sure as we go into this session. This is a Governor Gordon's initiative. We're going to continue to advocate for it. It's been a very important funding stream for us to stand up new programs, specifically current technical education programs. In our case, the CDL and our workforce program and nursing expansion. So we're going to do everything we can to advocate for it. So.
Okay, excellent. Any other questions for Dr. Overland? Working through the blinds. Any other questions? Okay, perfect. I will move on then. Moving on to our Gillette College Advisory Board report, we'd like to welcome to the board Chair Scott Durgan. Before I get to you, I didn't realize that last month was Angie's last meeting. I thought they were on a fiscal year, so I would like to say thank you to Angie. If you could convey to her, she was a wonderful participant in our board and brought a lot of really good things to our board, so thank you.
Chairman, I would like to see her maybe at our next meeting.
You can pass that on so we can give her a formal like to
Recognize her.
So the new chairman, Mr. Scott Durgan,
Happy New
welcome.
Year.
Happy New Year.
Like you said, there's a new chairman here. We did have elections. That was really our biggest focus. We didn't have a quorum in December, so we had to do it in our meeting last week. And to the chagrin of no, I'm just kidding. But I am the new chair. And then our vice chair is Cameron Smith, which is awesome. And then secretary is Richard Cisneros. Richard brings a lot of wealth of knowledge there, so it's glad to have him back on the executive team. So it's really good. I guess as far as our report, we did have Erin Taylor and we had President Oberlander at our meeting last week. Really good to understand some of the legislative issues and what's going on. So I'd really like to make that an annual event so we can do that every year. And then maybe after this session, try and get Erin back and President Oberlander to kind of download on the session. So that's about it. We're looking forward to a great year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, Gillette College Vice President of Academics and Student Affairs, Dr. Spriggs.
Chair McGrath.
Okay, hold on.
And no. Come up. We just really would like to share some of the fun from our professional development. And so we're trying to infuse more fun into the Higher Learning Commission. And so one of the things that we did, you all ready? So we did HLC Family Feud. And rather than Steve Harvey, we had Harvey Steve. And we just wanted to share a picture of Harvey Steve with you. If you can
Oh,
see
that's awesome.
Harvey
That is
Steve.
fantastic.
We had teams. My team was the Open Pathway team. We had uniforms, we had the big name tags, And Harvey Steve did a great job of facilitating. Can you make those bigger? Oh, she's working on. And then we had standard pathway. I might have been standard pathway. Anyway, my team won. And Harvey Steve did a great job for us and brought some levity to otherwise some difficult training topics. And HLC, there's a lot of different components. So we're trying to make this fun and have some laughs as we continue to train our campus and continue to bring some joy to the HLC process. So Dr. Spriggs, also known as Harvey Steve, thank you for your report.
Well done. Chair McGrath, trustees. A lot of the fall semester, as you probably know, based on your packet, has been focusing on development of policies, specifically some academic policies, as well as student affairs in regards to procedures of some of the policies that we have already set forth. We have also, as of yesterday, charged everyone within student affairs to develop a mission statement within their department itself. We already have those within our academic area that, of course, developing that academic plan. But as we're moving through accreditation, it's going to be important that we are aligning our values and views within our departments and our goals as to the mission of the institution. We also have went through examining the program review process. The deans have developed a new form, which will be rich in data, which is very important, and it will allow for continuous improvement. As we go through these things annually, we will be looking at another cycle, either 3 years or 5 years, but still doing our annual reviews. It will help us also make those changes and adaptations as we're going along and as we're preparing for what I consider the comprehensive program review. We also went through our first process, or we're kind of like 3/4 of the way through for the tenure process. And if you can recall, you probably approved that policy last summer. We met yesterday and really examining that process in regards to the procedures and some of the changes that we may make to make the process much better. We will actually develop an ad hoc committee with faculty involved that went through that process. We have been on the committee also in order to see how we can actually make it more fruitful as we're moving into the future. Understanding that some of the people that went through had tenure from Sheridan and they're bringing over tenure here in order to receive the benefits. We will have our own class of people within the next year or two also that were hired on as Gillette College faculty that will be going through that process. Additionally, one of the more important aspects of accreditation is that assessment piece. And Roger's been working well with the deans as well as the assessment committee in order for us to not only get down that process on how we're going to do assessment within the academic arenas, but also what are some of those what I consider outcomes that we're looking for in our general education. If you recall, you approved the philosophy months ago and everything. Now it's time for us to start mapping those things out and start collecting data in order to show how we're going to actually improve from what we actually learn. It's Faculty Senate is pretty much back in order. I know Jared couldn't make it today, but we do have membership from each of the schools. And they have 4 focus areas that they'll be focusing on this spring, including the Constitution and bylaws, as well as review to provide input, of course, to faculty load. Additionally, not only program development, which we have a curriculum committee that pretty much spearheads that, but also how we're going to actually, what you might consider, remove programs from our portfolio as we're moving forward. So some of those policies and procedures, they'll start to examine. The deans, of course, will provide feedback as we're going along, but also they'll be looking at faculty equity, particularly in regards to faculty load. We continue to work with Campbell County School District in order to establish elementary and secondary education programs for their paraprofessionals. We hope to meet at the end of the month. We did a survey last semester. Got the results. We had 42 people responding to that. So now it's meeting with them to see what type of alternative scheduling program as we know, that will be an alternative scheduling program, will be necessary in order for those paraprofessionals to move through those associate's degree, as well as we have set forth 3 or 4 different pathways to 4-year institutions. So those discussions will continue. Our hope really is to get enough information where we can have a cohort come in the fall and start that within the fall. And it won't be traditional. It won't be the traditional schedule. It's based on their life and everything else. Our community engagement continues, of course, our career explorations, our days, our nursing alumni celebration days. So we continue to ensure that we reach out and try to bring people back in, not only in regards to our boards for curriculum, but also how can we enhance the lives of our students and the resources out in the community that we can actually bring on the campus. Professional development has been going well. As you know, that's been one of our focus, and we continue to attend nationwide, statewide conferences, our enrollment management. We do have a new senior director a few months ago, and he has started to review the enrollment management plan, as well as developed a SEM, Strategic Enrollment Management Champions Committee with members across the campus in order to set forth some strategies, particularly as we're beginning to collect more data and beginning to really look at the disaggregation of those data based on different populations, how we can actually ensure retention as well as recruitment strategies. So staff, they continue to set up processes within the Lucian, including the financial aid procedures, the records and registration, degree audits, as well as in the fall, we'll be looking at the retention tool within there in order for us to be able to track our students where they're at, get those alerts out if we see students aren't coming to class, as an example, as well as to help build that community for those students. Additionally, our concurrent enrollment, we begin conversations with that. Dean Fashbaugh has attended NACEP conference, which is National Alliance for Concurrent Enrollment Partnerships, to ensure that we're aligning anytime we're offering classes anywhere, that they're consistent. Okay. And that's one of the biggest things when you're looking at accreditation also, is it doesn't matter if you're offering them in Sheridan or if you're over here at the high schools, that the qualifications of the faculty, the outcomes of the courses, the syllabi, all those things are consistent and they're blessed by us. So as we're moving forward, we will be looking at our faculty handbook on an annual basis. We'll be also looking at an annual schedule. In other words, we want to go to 2-year. This round will be a 1-year schedule, which will include the fall, spring, as well as next summer. But eventually we want to go that 2-year cycle. So when the student walks in the door, even though a lot of them will be at 150% or 3 years, we still want them to be able to map out and be able to see so that we also stick to what we say, what our recommended sequence of courses are. So there's going to be a lot of academic activity with our academic coordinator and the deans of really setting up timelines and what I consider annual reviews of all of our information, from the program review processes to how we cancel classes, when we cancel classes, what we take in consideration when we cancel classes, as well as the development of those portfolios for tenure processes. And simple things just as the syllabi, and ensuring that all those pieces that are necessary for federal compliance and everything else are actually in all the syllabi as they're going to our students. So there's a lot of work ahead. We're in a situation where we are really beginning to have a good understanding as to all the pieces, and now it's just lining them up so that it can be automated as we're actually moving forward. Any questions?
Questions for Dr. Spriggs?
This is overwhelming.
It's a lot.
Totally.
So well done.
Thank you for all the work you do. It's impressive. And yeah, I know you say as simple as the syllabi. I can remember as when I went to college, you rely on that. The students rely on that syllabi to make sure they're on track with their classes. And so, yeah, I just, I appreciate all the work you do, sir.
thank you. A lot of people, I mean, it takes a lot of pieces. And sometimes it's like, I didn't know that. Well, did you know this? And honestly, when you have a lot of people at the table, you find out a lot in order to, I mean, I remember when I first did my syllabus, it was like 3 years later, it was 9 pages longer than what it started with because you learn lessons and I would never think a student thought that way. And now you have to put it in there. So all those and plus our AI piece of it and those processes, it would just continue to, we'll have to keep up. So setting forth these processes that are automated, that we're always checking in, will help us that we're not trying to catch up really. So that's our goal as we move forward. We know we'll have emergencies, but if we can avoid some, it's really getting the systems set up in place. Thanks. All right,
Dr. Briggs, thank you very much. Well
Very
done.
much.
thank you.
Moving on, Faculty Senate report. Jared Vance is not here, so are we?
Chair McGrath, unfortunately, Jared had a family emergency that he had to leave before yesterday afternoon. So we will meet with Faculty Senate tomorrow and we will pick up on that agenda. Dr. Spriggs reminded you of the agenda that the Faculty Senate is going to focus on this year. So we will ask Jared to come back in February and give you an update.
Perfect. Employee retention report. Senior Director of Human Resources. Welcome.
Chair McGrath, trustees, President Oberlander, for the opportunity to visit with you about our employee demographics and our employment data. Not something most people get excited about, I understand, but I do. So I'm going to give you a little bit of context first, just so you can kind of put our data into perspective. Coupa, which is our college and university professionals organization, their data from 2024 told us that the top 4 reasons for turnover in higher education right now are salary, benefits, work-life balance, and culture. So that is what the national standards tell us. And the national turnover rate is 16%. A lot of that, again, putting that statistic into some context, is a little bit focused more around retirement because like many areas in industry, higher ed is slowly aging out a little bit. And so the things that we can do to garner interest for in recruiting for folks who are at the beginning cycle of their career is something that we definitely need to look at and keep in mind. Our statistics, we started out 2024, our calendar year, with 99 full and part-time regular employees. That does not include seasonals or adjuncts. We ended the year with 114. So we grew significantly. That is a really good start for 2024 for our amount and our net growth. Our turnover rate is 14.41%. So we are below the national standard. And that is something that I think we can be really proud of. So in general, what we saw around our folks who have left us was around better opportunity. Now that can be things completely out of our control. That can be things like I'm ready to be a dean and there's not a dean opening here. Or perhaps I want to teach a curriculum that we don't have here, or so on and so forth. So that was primarily the reason we saw turnover. We had 34 hires. The bulk of our hires were in our facilities area, as to be expected. But we did also add 5 administration, 5 academic affairs, 4 in athletics, 4 in CTE, 3 student life, 1 library, and 1 faculty member in 2024. So again, going back to that context of that data, when we examine the reason why people are leaving, salary, benefits, work-life balance, and culture, for us, our benefits, our retirement and our benefits package are well again above the institutional standard. In general, you add around 32% to someone's salary for what your benefits package is worth, between 29 and 32. Ours is actually worth closer to 42%. And I had the luxury of sitting next to people from Dartmouth and Harvard and all sorts of huge institutions when I was at the national conference, and our benefits package was better. They're like, can I come to Wyoming? Sure. So Because that's not one of the reasons why people are leaving us, one of the things that we really had to examine was what can we do to help educate then so that you understand that lucrative benefits package. So we have started a program around benefit spotlights, forums, Q&As, where we are trying to share with all employees of the district what you're actually getting and what it's worth. And we are hearing really good feedback from that we think that's making a big difference. And then finally, the areas we had room for growth in, always, of course, work-life balance and culture. So the initiatives that we started in 2024, we started a cultural working group, which you have heard from Brian Yeager, their chair. We started a mentorship program, which we're just kicking off for January. We did all the behind scenes work in 2024, which we're really excited about. We started a well-being team focused on health and wellness for everyone. We call it the goal getters. Janie's on the team, so that's where that name came from. We've started Pronghorn Pride, which is a page on the bridge where we can celebrate all employees and their achievements and have some fun. So we've had some activities, for example, a cornhole tournament, and we put pictures up and that sort of thing. We've also, in the absence of a working faculty senate, hosted multiple faculty roundtables where we can garner their opinions, their ideas, their suggestions, so that we make sure we heard from them in the absence of having a formal body. And we've also started a formal new employee orientation so that we onboard our employees in a way that helps them feel connected to the district right off the bat. So that's what I have to share. I'm happy to stand for questions.
Questions?
McGrath, not a question, but wow, but first of all, wow. What an impressive report. I'm really, honored to hear about our turnover rate compared to the national average. I wanted to share with you, Ms. Moore, that that was one of the concerns yesterday from the chamber attendees is about recruitment. And Dr. Oberlander and I also brought up also our concern about retention of our quality faculty. So you have the support and the concern of the community. And I think some of the things that you just shared will be excellent if we ever need to refer back to the chamber data presentation that we gave of some of those key factors. So thank you for capturing those for us. And I find them really interesting and timely. Chair.
Thank you.
I'd just like to commend you and everyone else who has worked on these projects for putting so many different avenues for employee engagement. That's important and it's lovely to see.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Certainly near and dear to my heart. So.
Trustee Paul. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Director Moore, thank you for your presentation. So a question on benefits. First, employees at the college are participating in Wyman retirement. Or I guess there's also, what is it, TIA?
TIA.
How are the majority of our employees participating in the Wyman retirement system? Would you say?
So you have the two options, and we're going to, so if you're a full-time regular employee, you're automatically, or if you're a part-time regular with 25 or more hours, you're automatically enrolled in the Wyoming retirement system. One of the reasons why our benefits package is a little bit more lucrative is because we are paying the full 17.36% on your behalf. And that's huge. I worked in industry, not only healthcare, but mining, and we certainly didn't put that into a retirement account in either of those industries for myself. So that's just, you can't match that. And not all colleges are doing that. That is a choice that's within our control. But when the national data tells us people are working for retirement benefits, that tells us we're getting the most bang for our buck. We're putting our money in the right place. So yes, all the employees are participating. Some also choose to do, instead of maybe the traditional pension, they might go with the 403B option. However, we're still putting the match in there. Then we also have a 457 deferred, which is optional.
And that was my next question. So of the 457, which is the Wyoming Deferred Compensation Plan, how do you know the approximate number of employees that are participating?
It's less than 10%.
And we don't, and do we match that at all right now?
We do not, since we're putting our full match into the traditional pension or 403B.
Something that we might think about as a board, and I might bring up at a finance committee, is maybe an incentive to get people to participate in that in that 457, and not long-term, but maybe just an initial incentive to have. I know we did that in the county and our rate of increase went up substantially. Retirement's important and who knows what the future is going to bring in terms of availability. We're blessed here in the state that we have a pension plan that's vibrant and healthy and well reserved, but it's something we might want to take a look at. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you bet.
Questions? So I would say this, in my experience, the cost to retain is always less than the cost to recruit. So I appreciate that that number is low, much like Trustee Wasberger said, as we continue to try to drive that down, as you know, as we're keeping people, that goes hand in hand with all the other stuff that you're doing, and Trustee Anderson said. So thank you for what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
All done.
All right, moving on to old business, tuition waiver follow-up. That's me, not, you guys have the letter from Chair Swanson and Dr. Trively. They're doing what they're doing. We have maintained that we are not going to do it here and that we see it as frankly, a detriment to our taxpayers, at least in Campbell County, and especially going back to your chamber presentation, when we're funding 100% of it and not getting any state aid. Any questions on that from the board or thoughts?
Sir. Where to start? Mr. Chair, thank you. Thank you, number one, for reaching out to Chair Swanson. Yes, and the One Community College District and his prompt response. Which was nice that he did that, and I certainly appreciate the fact that Sheridan is trying to build their enrollment. And yet questions linger as to why they think this particular mechanism is going to be fuel that enrollment growth. You know, after reading through his letter, we really haven't addressed the fact of who's paying for this additional cost. At least we don't know who's paying for it. And I guess that's a question I would still like to know is who's paying for that break in coverage between what an in-state resident or student pays and what an out-of-state, because it's substantial. And it would be nice to know what that cost is. I think President Oberlander at the last couple of meetings has shared with us what and certainly with that new fact sheet, you know, what our current enrollment is, and it's predominantly in-state, predominantly within the region. And so I'd like to know what that cost is going to be, who's going to pay for that cost, and what kind of return on investment do they see in terms of the long term? How will they know that this program is successful? He doesn't talk about that in his communication, and I think that's an important part. Is how do you go back to, and if I know we're not going to do it, and I appreciate the unanimous position of this board on that. But if you're going to do this, how are you going to communicate back to your taxpayers what that return looks like? And then how many of those students from out of state are you retaining? Because I know he does talk about it in his communication, the fact that local employers are, you know, seeking employment opportunities for students. And I think that's great. And we do that here as well. But how many of those students after they graduate are actually going to stay in Sheridan County? And that's not addressed in here either, you know, so they're providing a significant benefit, which again, that's their choice. But what's the long-term benefit in terms of are those graduating students actually staying in Sheridan County? And is there a way to measure that? Just some thoughts to ponder. And I would hope that maybe we would have the opportunity to continue this dialogue in some fashion.
So Trustee Palmer, I would add this. I've not had the opportunity to speak to Chair Swanson personally on the phone. Was out of town for 5 days and then my daughter. So I will make that phone call, if not today, tomorrow to him and actually have a personal conversation to try to, you know, continue the dialogue, have these conversations with them about how they're going about it, especially from the ROI how many students do they project? Those were all things that we talked about that I think are worthwhile, and I hope they have answers for it. If they don't, it's interesting to institute it, especially when like Black Hills State has not seen an increase in students because of it. So, thank you. Yes. Other questions or thoughts?
My question, and we've discussed it, excuse me, with, is why now? That would be one of my questions.
Sure.
I mean, we're close, we're within, depending on the baby pool. Why now?
Absolutely.
I mean, are we looking at those 200 students potentially could have been ours? Because they're gonna register on the same website.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of questions that aren't answered.
Well, and I think that the other thing that I would add is that I think both institutions are working through, but what is the cost when they're taking online location classes, online classes, but they're taking the location at Gillette College? I assume we're getting the reduced rate and they're gonna pay it on their behalf, you know, but say I assume, because that's what
Assume
I'm like,
it
but,
does,
you know,
yeah.
so, great question.
Chairman Bennett?
Yes.
Trustees, what I would also share is we have begun our budget fiscal year 2026 conversations. Yes, fiscal year 26 conversation. And this topic came up with our budget managers and our supervisors. And of course, there's a potential there if we would do a tuition waiver for recruitment strategies, right? But the bigger picture is helping our faculty and budget managers and staff understand someone has to pay for that $325,000 deficit. And it has to come from our budget. It has to come from our general fund. And so we don't get to set the tuition in the state of Wyoming. We set our fees. So we would have to backfill that 325,000, and it would have to come from somewhere. We would have to come from, we reduced scholarships and athletics potentially. It would have to come from some equipment. Somewhere that money would have to come from. So we're working to try and help our faculty and staff understand that piece, but also there are opportunities for us to do some more recruiting in a broader region outside of Campbell County and Wyoming, certainly. But who is paying who's paying our mill? It's Campbell County. And we want to make sure that we're training and retaining students to serve the need of our workforce. And so that's our main focus. But how can we also support and potentially retain some of those students here to stay within our industry? So just know that this conversation is also happening amongst our budget managers, and Vice President Larson is doing a phenomenal job guiding that conversation, but it has bubbled and we've heard that puts us at a disadvantage. We don't think so because we offer a phenomenal product. We offer phenomenal service here in Campbell County. So.
Well, the other thing that I would add, going back to a discussion that you and I had, is public. Resident tuition is currently $105 per hour for the state of Wyoming. Non-resident, non-WUI tuition at Black Hills State is $315 an hour, or $358 an hour. So even for a non-resident, it's $315 an hour. It's still lower. So for a non-resident, non-WUI student, it's still lower than what was Black Hills State. So I just fall back to if 86% of our students are Campbell County students, I would rather give the 86% of them the benefit or the reduction if we were going to backfill in some way with Campbell County tax dollars. Trustee Paul.
Just, I guess, a follow-up based on Dr. Overlander's communication. And I know Dr. Moritz with the Wyoming Community College Commission was copied, I think, on your correspondence as well. And so the Wyoming Community College Commission sets the tuition. Community colleges don't do that. The Community College Commission does. And they set both the in-state and the out-of-state tuition. Is that correct? And so if a community college is at the tuition waiver for out-of-state tuition costs, what is the state paying for that? What tuition rate are they reimbursing the community college at? If all of a sudden all my out-of-state or in-state. Does that question make sense? I guess I'm a little curious as to how that how that formula, how that schedule would work from the Community College Commission, because that legislature funds that through the Community College Commission back to each individual community college, correct?
Right, so Chair McGrath.
Yes, please.
Trustee Palmer, and certainly Roger Way in, our institutional researcher, we have to report yearly what our categories are. So we report how many in-state students, how many WUI students, how many out-of-state non-WUI students and international students we have. That all ties into the formula, which is how they would determine what those fund balances should be. And so again, if you're offering that tuition waiver, they show it as a scholarship on their expense, but then they have to show how they're covering that expense as well on their balance sheets. So there's a way that we have to track that, right? We track how many in-state, out-of-state, international students that we have. Is there anything, Roger, that you would add to that?
So
So the question then, real quick, again, presumptuous assumption, they're making it up in the form of a scholarship, whether it's a foundation, so a college foundation would have to make it up, whether it's pulled from other pools of money,
Institutional scholarship?
institutional scholarship, but I don't know that they can use state aid for it. Is that,
That I don't know, trustee. I don't know.
that might be a question worth asking Dr. Moritz, is if they're allowed to use state aid to cover the difference? Because certain state aid going to institution that we're not getting any. And again, I understand why.
What I would share with you is Ben and I had a very high level, quick conversation on this matter. There is no process through the Wyoming Community College Commission for a college to apply a tuition waiver. They have no process for that. That's up to individual institutions.
And that'll be one of my questions with Chair Swanson.
Call 911, please.
Call 911, please.
Do you want to move on for just a moment? and then go
Yes,
back
if we
in?
could, we'll take a quick break.
that would be great. If we can approve them in a block on first read. Great, and then we can take the month to go through and make sure second read, it's really, they're needed for accreditation purposes, but.
Yeah, I think we can get through this fairly quickly.
You want to just,
Everybody is-
combine it into one
We are.
motion for the.
Right now, there's two motions, for the revised and one for the new. You could probably combine into one.
I think it's quick enough to read two motions unless there's a lot
Yeah.
of discussion. I would probably like to defer economic impact study. And then we'll just defer all the committee reports and any of that so that we'll get through the spending. We'll get through the spending authorities. Well, shoot, I should wait till.
Do you want to hold the AI presentation, the AI
Yes,
education?
please.
And so Dr. Mashio, we'll pick that up in February. You're welcome to stay, but we'll pick that back up in February if it works for your schedule. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr.
Sorry.
Mashio is AI expert.
Yes, I was looking forward to that.
Well, we hear it.
My 16-year-old is educating me. So
Okay, so do I need a motion to reconvene the meeting or did we formally step out? Somebody give me proper protocol here, Mr. Horning.
You just declare a recess, I think you return.
Okay, so we'll declare a return. For the good of everybody here, we are going to keep the old business tuition waiver on next month's meeting. We are also going to defer the AI presentation along with the economic impact study to next meeting. So I would like to move to the first reading of policies, Section B, Roman numeral, Roman numeral V, Section A. Dr. Overlander.
Chair McGrath, trustees, you do have before you some revised policies, but also some new policies. The governance committee has reviewed these. We reviewed each one of them in depth, made some corrections, some adjustments. Prior to the second reading in February, we'll certainly go through and validate all of the statutory language, but this is first reading. Some are revised, but some are new, just keeping up with our process of reviewing policy and procedure. And then the new really are gaps that we found in policies as we're going through the next phase of our accreditation. So if the committee has any comments or is ready to bring these forward.
Governance committee, what say you?
I move, as a member of the governance committee, I move to move forward with a motion from the governance committee to approve the first reading of the revised policies, 3014, 4008, 6003.
Excellent. So can I get a second?
You don't
I don't need a second. All right, and I will call for a vote. It's been moved by Trustee Day of the Governance Committee to approve the first reading of revised policies 3000.14, 4000.8, 6000.3. Any discussion?
Chair McGrath, I apologize. I have a point of question that I was wondering about two of these, minimal as it may be, and I'm trying to find it quickly. It affects to the course outline and syllabi, and then the other one, maybe I'll go back.
Trustee Wasserberger, those new or revised? So we're just on
Revised.
on the revised.
Yeah. I believe it's on the revised. Am I on the revised?
We have
You're
audit
on-
policy
you're
on
on the
revised.
6000.
My apologies.
Okay.
Okay, 6000.7 is on the new, if that's the one
Okay.
you're on. Okay, any other
Yes.
questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to the next set of new policies.
Chair McGrath, trustees, these are new policies. This is first read of a new set of policies that we found where we had gaps as we were going into the next phase of our accreditation. And so many of these, as you will see, are academic policies. Certainly Vice President Spriggs is here to answer questions. And Vice President Spriggs, it sounds as though Trustee Wasserberger has a question on 6000.7.
Yes, a very quick question. Just with the wording, it jumped out at me that the instructor must have the syllabi to the student no later than the first class. However, in the first sentence, it says the faculty must submit a copy of the course outline to the academic deans and academic coordinator, but there's no stipulated timeline. Would there be a benefit to having, a week prior to class and in benefit in favor of the student? Because this would almost lend a gray area that the cart could be put in front of the horse.
Yes, trustee Wassenberger, that may be something that we're looking in the procedure. But if it's something we need to put in policy, what we're looking at is at least 3 business days prior to the start of the semester, that they will go to the academic coordinator and dean for that review prior to them going to the student. First day of
That
class.
is outlined in procedure.
Yes, that's what we're looking at for
Thank you.
procedure. Question.
Thank you for the discussion.
Yep.
I think that affected 2 policies, but now I can't remember the other one, but I'll refer to back in policy, I mean, in procedure. I'm satisfied with that.
Okay, thank you. Good question.
Chair McGrath, as a member of the governance committee, I'd like to move forward a motion to the first reading for the following policies: 6,004, 6,005, 6,006, 6,007, 6,008, 6,009, 6,010, 6,011, 6,012, 6,013, 6,014, 5,009, 2,004, and 3,035.
Okay. Questions on that? Okay, so it has been moved forward by trustee Smith of the governance committee to approve first reading of policies 6,000.4 through 6,000.14 and 5,000.9, 2,000.4, and 3,000.35. Any further questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Approval of the designated paper.
Trustee or Chair McGrath, trustees, this is an annual approval of our paper designation designated paper of record, the Gillette News Record. This just requires a motion and approval, and there is no paperwork that goes with this.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Palmer and seconded by trustee Anderson to move as the news record, Gillette News Record as the official newspaper for the year, 1-year term 2025. Any questions? Discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Approval of depositories per policy 3,000.1, Vice President Larson.
Good afternoon, Chair McGrath and trustees. As per statute, we need to renew our approval for First National Bank and Security State Bank to be designated depositories of our college funds.
Chair McGrath, there is paperwork that has to be signed by this, and who does the signatures?
Our treasurer will sign. I've talked with trustee Anderson ahead of time. There's a form for Security State Bank. First National Bank just wants the minutes.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Has there been a motion? I'll wait till there's a motion. then I have
Okay.
discussion.
So moved.
Second.
Trustee Palmer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Vice President, can I have my name removed from the email list on receiving a monthly email saying that we're meeting all FDIC requirements?
Trustee Palmer, it's in progress. I had to wait to get Samantha Rankin's hard signature, and she was in town this week, and I got it notarized yesterday. I'll be sending it to the Fed today.
Thank you.
And it will remove yours and trustee G's.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, so it's been moved by trustee Smith and seconded by trustee Wassenberger to approve First National Bank and Security State Bank as the authorized depository institutions for GCCD funds for the 2025 calendar year. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
you.
Okay, thank you, Vice President Larson. We're going to skip the economic impact study for this month. We're going to move the spending authority approval for Canvas Learning Management System.
You again, Chair McGrath and trustees. Our faculty currently use Canvas as a learning management system, and they would like to continue to do so. However, we need to take it under our own. So we need to purchase our own instance. Currently, we're no longer able to use Sheridan College. So Renee did a fabulous job meeting with all the faculty and all the players, and they all reviewed a couple different packages and decided Canvas is what they wanted to continue to go with. And you have some information in your packet regarding the benefits and reasons why. So could I So anyway, the year one is 69,000. We're looking to sign a 3-year contract. Year two is 46,000 and year three is 48,000. So we're looking for spending approval for that. And if you have any questions, our IT director Renee is here to help me.
Questions on that? Yes.
So I'm just, Mr. Chair, thank you. I'm just curious, Vice President, why it fluctuates like it does.
The first year includes some implementation costs and some not specializing isn't the right word, but formatting to fit our needs versus the canned program we had before.
So then it goes from if I heard correctly, and I apologize, I might not have heard correctly, but it went from 69 to 43.
69 to 46 to 44.
44, okay.
Sorry, 48.
So it went down and then went back up.
Yes, it'll go up every year after.
But
Slightly.
Is that just an
Basic-
inflation rate? Is that what that is, inflation?
They build in a percentage increase for annual. Yeah.
Okay,
And Chair McGrath,
Please.
Trustee Palmer, we see that also with our Lucian contract. There's a built-in increase that happens every year.
okay. Yeah, I was just, I thought there was a wave in there, but I wasn't sure, so.
I would entertain a motion then.
Chair McGrath.
It's already been moved. It's already been moved to second.
No, it
I
hasn't.
don't think so.
It has not.
Oh, that was the other one. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I move. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, got it. Make a motion to approve spending authority, I mean, the right one,
Yep.
for the Canvas Learning Management System for a 3-year subscription for a total of $163,835.
Great motion. So it's moved by trustee Wasberger and seconded by trustee Anderson for spending authority approval to Canvas Learning Management System for a 3-year subscription to Canvas LMS for 1,750 FTEs for $163,835. Further discussion or questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay, Vice President Larson, spending authority approval for CTE equipment.
Thank you. So Travis and his group would like with budgeted money that was allocated for this in our budget to purchase some diesel parts washer. He will have to give you some information if you'd like any more details on that. And the industrial electrical lab volt trainer. The diesel parts washer is $59,964 plus additional options for $3,300. And the industrial electrical lab volt trainer repairs and updates is $119,701. We'll be using Fund 10, so general funds for this.
Okay,
I move to approve the spending authority approval for the diesel parts washer of 59,964 with the additional stainless steel options of 3,310. And for the industrial electrical lab volt trainer repairs and updates of 119,701 for a total of $182,975.
Second.
I second that.
I'm gonna go with Anderson. So it's been moved by trustee Day and seconded by trustee Anderson to approve spending authority for the approval of diesel parts washer in the amount of $59,964 with the additional stainless steel option of $3,310 and the industrial electrical lab volt trainer repairs and updates of $119,701 for a grand total of $182,975. Further questions or discussion? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Excellent. Okay, at this time, I would ask for a motion to move into executive session pursuant to statute 16-4-4059 to consider or receive information classified as confidential by law. Those that are leaving, we will take action more than likely take action coming out of this, so. Anybody want to make that one? Okay, motion carried. We are now in executive session. out of executive session.
Hold on one second. Let her come.
Yeah.
Putting back on.
Just give me the thumbs up when you're ready. Okay, so we're back out of executive session into our normal meeting. I would first start off by saying, please keep Nello in your thoughts and prayers, and we will keep the board and Dr. Overlander and everybody else abreast as to his condition as soon as we hear anything. So, thank you. Thank you. Okay, moving forward with item H, spending authority for I-Hall I-Hall Phase 2 repair up to $427,000. I would entertain a motion to approve the spending authority for I-Hall Phase 2 repair up to $427,000 with a subsequent determination of ultimate responsibility and allocation for cost of repairs.
So moved, Chair McGrath.
Excellent. So it has been moved by trustee Wasberger and seconded by trustee Palmer to approve the spending authority for approval of I-Hall Phase 2 repair up to $427,000 with a subsequent and determination of ultimate responsibility and allocation for cost of repairs. Any discussion on that? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carries. Okay. As we said earlier, we're going to skip the remaining committee reports. I don't see anybody for public comment. You will see the upcoming events starting actually now with January 18th. We got some home basketball games. I did see our men are receiving votes, which means they're about to get ranked, which is good. They have one loss. I'm not sure how somebody with 3 or 4 losses is ranked ahead of them, but that's the way juvenile works. Frustrating on multi levels. February 1st, Community Education Open House. February 7th is Skills USA Banquet. Let's go. February 15th, Rodeo Banquet. March 3rd is the Joint Foundation Board. So please put this on your calendar. I think you have a placeholder in your calendar that was already sent by Dr. Overlander's office, but a Joint Foundation Board, Advisory Board, Board of Trustees meeting in the Tech Center Flex Space. So out here, 5:30 p.m. Then March 7th is Sonnets and Chocolates, and April 11th is Casino Night for the foundation.
What social schedule? This is
It is a social schedule.
This is fun.
Yes. Okay.
Well, I just have a question about the formats for the Skills USA banquet. Is that a lot like the rodeo banquet where there'll be tables and we're welcome to go, we're free to go? Do we need to buy tickets?
Chair McGrath.
Yes, please.
Trustee Wasserberger, this is not a sponsored dinner by Gillette College. We are certainly listed, but this is an AGC. My understanding is they are selling tables. I am not aware that they're selling individual tickets right now, but I will sure keep you posted if I can get any more information from Dean Grubb. He mentioned they were not selling individual tables at this time, so I'll keep you posted though. But it is not a Gillette College sponsored event.
Okay.
AGC is hosting.
And what does AGC stand for?
Associated General Contractors of Oil.
Okay, so. Well, yeah, more forthcoming information would be appreciated on that just for.
But we're pleased to have it here in our building. Absolutely.
Okay. I did just get a text from Rory. They're going to run a few tests before he gets to leave. Thank you for everyone helping out. In particular, Trustee Wasberger, thanks for what you do on that one. So sounds like he's doing well. So as well as can be right now.
Yeah.
So.
And there are conflict of interest at every spot.
Yes. Please get them back to Ellie if you don't mind. Then I would request a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Is there a second? Okay. Been moved by trustee Anderson and seconded by trustee Smith. We are adjourned. Have a great week, everybody.
You as well. Thank you.